Simon Clark.
Mr. Speaker, reflecting on the debate in this House and in the country in recent weeks, I want to open with the words of Sir Winston Churchill in 1934. All down the centuries, one peculiarity of the English people has cost them dear. We have always thrown away, after a victory, the greater part of the advantages we have gained in the struggle. The worst difficulties from which we suffer do not come from without, they come from within, from the mood of unwarrantable self-abasement into which we have been cast by a powerful section of our own intellectuals. They come from the acceptance of defeatist doctrines by a large proportion of our politicians. Nothing can save England if she will not save herself. If we lose faith in ourselves, in our capacity to guide and to govern, if we lose our will to live, then indeed our story is told. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, what has characterised these negotiations has been exactly that spirit. The government has approached Europe as a supplicant, accepting a series of conditions which have led inexorably to this place. At the heart of this lies the backstop, and I will not rehearse the arguments which have been echoed this afternoon about why it simply does not work. What I will say is that our own ministers, the Irish government and the EU alike have all made it clear that under no circumstances will there be a hard border in Ireland. And if this is a prison, it is a prison into which we will lock ourselves if we sign up to this deal. Despite the government's best efforts to convince us otherwise, the EU clearly want us in the backstop, and why wouldn't they? They would have total control of our trade and customs policy. They would have our 39 billion. They would have ensured we cannot outcompete them through level playing field provisions, and they could offer unilateral access to our economy and their trade negotiations with third countries. This must be rejected. It may be that our doing so will finally prove to the European Union that, as the Prime Minister long insisted, no deal is better than a bad deal, and I continue to believe there is a better deal to be done. But we must also face the possibility that this may not be possible. In that case, I am very clear we should leave on the 29th of March next year on World Trade Organization terms, in accordance with the EU Withdrawal Act. And I do not say that lightly. It will require courage and resolution, as well as a dynamic policy response that should include exciting ideas like free ports. For reasons that are bewildering to me, the government has failed to initiate serious preparations for this scenario when there was good time to do so. That was not due to negligence. Rather, it was a conscious policy, lest, God forbid, the Europeans understood from our making those preparations that we really were resolved to leave in earnest. That has been a lamentable failure, and must change, and change now, for every day is of value. And this must be accompanied by a wider change of policy. If this deal is rejected by the House, as I hope it will be, the ghosts of Project Fear must be exorcised. They have offered bad counsel for far too long, seeking always to reduce the path of negotiation to a minimalist and apologetic legal separation, rather than a great nation setting forth into the world. My final words are to those colleagues who will seek to prevent such a clean Brexit through amendments which have been tabled to this effect. I would simply say to them, think well upon it. Without that ability, we truly would be hostages to fortune, choosing only between the skiller of a bad deal and the Charybdis of a second referendum. This last, I think, would do untold damage to people's faith in democracy. People in forgotten parts of Middlesbrough and in forgotten parts of East Cleveland voted to leave. They still want to leave, and they want to leave properly, preferably with a good deal agreed in honour, but if necessary, trusting in our strengths and resolved to succeed as a global free trading powerhouse.